We're not talking about practice. We're not talking about exhibitions. We're talking about a real basketball game going down tonight. Zep and myself, let's get it. Yes, sir. We're back. It's another episode of the Barn Hoops podcast. It's Kyle Rush. It's Zep Jasper, and we're ready to rock and roll. Zep Jasper, we got some real basketball going down tonight. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. As I've been, getting in touch with people, people been asking me, how's Auburn gonna be this year? I'm like, what you mean how Auburn gonna be this year? We're gonna be the best in the country.
Let's
It's no
go.
choice. No choice.
Yeah, Auburn opened up, I think, plus 250 odds to win the conference. They tip it off and get that action going tonight versus the Vermont somethings. I don't even know what their mascot is. They're the
Um,
Vermont people from up there. They've already got a game under their belt, Zep, and we're going to talk about that and all the matchups in just a second. But before we get started, we got to give a shout out to our boy Ford Stokes with Active Wealth Management. Doesn't matter if it's your savings, your 401k, no matter what it is. Make sure that you're taking full advantage of everything you can possibly be taking advantage of. Don't pay senseless fees. Make sure you're protected from the IRS. Make sure you're taking advantage of products that you need to be taken care of. He can do all that and look over it for you absolutely free. A $1,500 value. Just go to retirementresults.com/plan and get that custom portfolio analysis. Tell them we're Eagle. Tell them we sent you. Ford Stokes with Active Wealth Management. Like I said, we're not talking about practice no more. We're talking about the actual game, and it's going down tonight against Vermont. Vermont actually has already got a game under their belt. They've already actually come to Alabama. They're doing a little road trip to kick off the season. They go in, I guess, to Bartow Arena or whatever the name of UAB's facility is, and they take down the UAB Blazers 67-62. So my question is, right to start off with, is that a advantage Auburn, an advantage Vermont, advantage Auburn that that maybe they're a little bit tired from traveling and playing two games in 2 days or two games in 3 days, or is it a little bit of an advantage for Vermont? Hey, you've got one under your belt. You kind of figured out some things. You got a chance to correct some things. Do you see it going one way or the other as far as an advantage of already having a game under your belt?
well, I don't think having a game under your belt is always good, but you prepare for opponents different. Guys play different. Guys have different strategies. Guys are bigger, stronger, better. So, but I think with them having a game under their belt, I think it gives them a little bit of confidence. But I think guys understand that with it being Auburn first game, those guys are gonna be very excited and they're gonna be very enthusiastic to play a team they never had played before, especially with this being the first game. Those guys, Auburn team, actually got to look at games last night. I know those guys watched Baylor versus Gonzaga. That was the sixth versus number 8 team in the country, and it didn't plan out how people thought it was gonna pan out. So
Sure.
I think actually Auburn have an advantage by watching their first game and having film on how they did against UAB.
Really good point. Really good point. They got to actually see how they're going to execute the sets they may be running, the different personnel groupings, all that good stuff. I like it. I do think there's a little bit of you can sometimes that first game, maybe you can come out a little bit too hype, especially when it's your first game in front of your home crowd. So I do see Auburn, the emotion's going to be there, but this Vermont team's pretty good. They're pretty solid. There's so many things about them we're going to break down in just a second. So that's a really they're coming off a win. They've got a game under their belt. Auburn's had a chance to review the film and watch them and kind of break that down. So maybe a little bit of a wash there, I guess. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But I want to talk about their game. They obviously they win on the road. That's big. They shoot really well. They shot really well from three, at least this past game, nearly 40%. They did not turn it over. I think they only had 5 turnovers in the whole game, which I think is very, very impressive. And they make their free throws. So when you think about those 3 stats, I'll tell you what I think about. I think this team must be an older team. They seem to be their first game of the season not to have those hiccups like that. They must be an older team, and they are. They start 4 seniors and a junior. Zep, when you're playing a team like that that's older, a little bit more of a veteran team, when you have like two of the same player, but one of them's just a little bit older than the other, what kind of advantage does experience give you, or change the way you approach the game?
But every game is a new game. When you have guys who are older, who have been through things, they understand the role of playing on the road. They know playing on the road isn't easy. Those guys take every possession serious. They know like coming to Auburn, or like the Auburn, like the Neville Arena is gonna be tough. It's actually an advantage because it's like you're gonna have to put the team away. It's like putting the fire out.
Yeah.
You gotta use all your water to put the fire out, to put those guys away, because it's like they're never gonna give up. The Vermont team, as I look it up, they're a team that always make the tournament. They shoot the ball well. They're fundamentally sound. So you have to watch film on how you're gonna stop the key points. You said those 3 points. Those points are gonna be very, very key, because those guys are not going to be rattled. They're gonna be comfortable, and like I say, you just have to go in and play our game.
They've been through some stuff. When you've been playing basketball for 4 or 5 years, you've been through some stuff. So even they've probably seen some raucous environments. They've probably seen some tough crowds. So that is one thing. Bruce called them very Yale like, which is not really what you want to hear. Obviously, when you take a first round exit to that team, but I can see that just based from looking at their roster. They don't really wow you in size, and we'll get into that a little bit more. But that age, that experience, that's definitely going to be something that Auburn's going to have to handle. Now, on the flip side, Auburn's pretty old themselves. Auburn's got some age. Auburn's got some experience. We got some dudes that's been through some stuff. So maybe they're older and deep older across the board, but I think Auburn can match up experience and maybe even some a little bit more high level experience than Vermont. So that's going to be a really interesting thing to watch play out. The two TJs, Zep, they got two TJs
Hmm.
that seem to be their kind of their go-to guys. You got TJ Long, a senior guard who was their leading scorer last year. He had a pretty solid game against UAB. And then they got a junior, their young one, the junior, TJ Hurley, who went off against UAB. I think he scored 20 points, 4 of 8 from three. Um, Keeping the TJs in check, I think that's going to be definitely something to watch. But I like Auburn's side, even though they're not very big inside. They're longer with guards, and the good news is Auburn's got more long guards than typically they do. I like the matchup there.
I love the matchup. We got guards, we got bigs. Vermont team is not very big, so I feel like we can pound the ball in the inside and go straight to it as soon as the game start. To let guys know that you're gonna need to use all your big men, because we're gonna. This is the SEC. We're gonna make sure we play physical, strong basketball. But this team is a very Yale-like team. Matter of fact, this team might be better than Yale, because they
Mm,
always make the tournament. They always do the little things. They always make sure that they know that they have to do the little things to win games like these. They have been through certain things. They have been through the fire of losing by 20, losing by 30, and coming in next game of listening to their coach and say, we have to do this better this game. So, but I think we have the players that been in the atmosphere of being strong guys, and just being able to play against teams like this, especially with this being our first game.
for sure. You mentioned it. They're not very big inside. I think they have two guys on the roster that are 6'9". Everybody else is smaller. They run their lineup says they run four guards, and they're
Mhm.
all 6'4", 6'5", and then you have your quote unquote big guy at 6'9". Um, when you're game planning that, when you're preparing for a team like that, that's probably a little bit, they're maybe smaller, but they're quicker. How do you take advantage of, how do you neutralize their speed? And then how do you take advantage of those mismatches in size?
The way you utilize their speed is where they're gonna know we're gonna be bigger. They know we're gonna be a shot block type team. Those guys maybe a little quicker, maybe a little faster, but they know they're gonna have to depend on shooting threes and getting open when they run their sets. Our advantage is our length, our size, our strength, the way we play, playing tough, making them speed up with the basketball.
Mm,
When teams like Vermont play, they know if they speed up with the basketball, it makes them nervous. It makes them do things that they don't want to do. It makes them uncomfortable. So I feel like when we make a team uncomfortable like Vermont, I feel like speed, um, having four guards, I feel like it eliminates everything because once we eliminate the three, they're not gonna be able to get to the paint.
that's a really good point. Even though they're a bunch of guards, I feel like our speed would probably still match up pretty well with theirs. I feel like Auburn's still probably going to get out and run a little bit with them. And like you said, kind of, I imagine if I can kind of guess what if you're when you're talking about being a Yale style team, they want to have that ball control, get in their sets, take it deep into the shot clock, shorten the game. So
Mhm.
I think Auburn, even though they are a smaller team, and I think Auburn's still going to probably want to run with them a little bit. And then obviously you got the huge mismatch inside that I feel like Cheney and Janai could have really big nights. It'd be hard to kind of if you can get the ball inside to them, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to stop those guys.
Oh, most definitely. It's definitely gonna be hard to stop those guys. I feel like they're gonna send a double team when the ball gets to Janai, and it's going. I think they prepared on this team of getting the ball out, getting the ball to the 3-point shooters, get
Mm,
ready to kick it out or the backside lob. But I feel like we're gonna run. We have no choice. This is a team. We're gonna run, shoot threes, get the ball up, press on defense. I feel like they're gonna come out the gate with full of energy. BP
mm.
want them to go up 10 from the jump. If they don't go up 10 from the jump, BP isn't going to be satisfied. So I look forward to seeing this team just, I'm talking about, be straight off the jump, come out on fire with their heads on fire on defense.
We need to see
Offensive,
that. We
no
need to
doubt.
see that. The first two games, there's been a little bit, you could say little bit of a slow start. And I know they're exhibition games and you're trying different things out, but I think you definitely want to get out and get on this team, go ahead and put them away early, and then hold them off, the rest of the game.
Mhm.
So it's going to be interesting if it's your game plan. What do you
Mhm.
want to do? What do you want to do to exploit them on both sides of the ball? What do you want to do? Who do you want to be the focus on offense, and then how do you shut them down on the defensive side?
Well, the offensive end on our side, just playing our game, running our sets, um not slopping through things like BP always say. Just because they're a mid-major team or a low conference team doesn't mean that they aren't good. With us losing last year, we should understand coming to our first game that you take nothing for granted. And I feel like sometimes as being a Power Five school, you play these lower conference schools, you take things for granted. And I think BP has said that in film room and just their sets. They run them so good.
Mhm.
Like I said, they probably ran through like 10, 11 sets. Today just walked through them and making sure everybody know we're gonna switch this ball screen. How we gonna guard this big? How we gonna guard the shooters? How we gonna run them off the line? Make them go to the paint and throw something up. So, and on the defensive end, um, like I said, I just think we should run them off the line and make them do things they don't do. Like make shooters dribble. If you make a
Mhm.
shooter dribble, they can't do nothing. We always play help defense. Um, you know, play full court defense, make them speed up. So I think that'll be keys to the game.
Do, do you see that being especially on the defensive side? Do you see that being more of like with the way they shoot the ball, you kind of want to get up on them, right? You don't want to. I don't know that you really want to sit back a lot in zone and make them throw it around. I think you want to get on them. Do you see this more of a man up, just mano a mano type defense, or you switch it up? Like how do you see that game plan going?
1 through 4, switch everything. They're not big, so we always
Good
can
point.
switch 1 through 4 because um Cheney is one of those guys who can guard 1 through 4. So he should, and they're guys who, when they drive, they're not gonna want to go up with a guy who can block shots. They're
Yep.
gonna want to outsmart you. So I think BP have said probably we're gonna switch 1 through 4 when they're doing the sets. Guards, um, guard to guard, you switch. But if it's Janai, you're gonna hedge the ball screen and get back, and everybody's gonna play help defense. But other than that, I think that's what their game plan is, and playing super close defense. You'll never see zone. If I'm guessing, I want to see zone none this game. I think they're going to come out, press the ball from the jump to let these guys know that they're going to have a rude awakening as soon as this game starts. Especially with those guys going to UAB and having confidence. Especially with UAB always being a tournament team. So I feel like they have confidence coming in there. But UAB and Auburn is a totally different team. But still, UAB is also a great team.
So for the person that's a casual, talk
Mhm.
about what switch 1 through 4 means. I know I know what it means, but tell them what 1 through 4 switch, what that would mean.
With the 1 through 4, that means point guard to the power forward. You switch every person. They're switch. So when you got a ball, say you got a ball screen,
Yes, there you go.
and the 4 man come up and set a screen, and the point guard is guarding the 1 man, and the 4 man come up and set a screen. So the 4 man will switch with the point guard, and the
Yeah,
point guard will take the 4 man, and basically just every 1 through 4 is also just scrambling around with each other. They're basically having each other back on defense, not depending on their total man. Like when you see a man in front of you, just know when a screen is set on you, you're gonna switch with your teammate.
yeah.
The only person you won't switch with is the 5 man, which will be Janai Broom or Dylan Caldwell.
I like it. So, in other words, they're because they don't have a lot of length, you don't lose a ton if like a JP or a Denver gets switched on to their power forward because they're not going to be, 6'8", 6'9". They're going to be, 6'5", 6'6", and you can hang with those guys. I like that idea. And that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Overall, obviously, you feel good about the matchup. A little bit nervous just about Vermont in general, just because they're a scrappy team and they're always, like you said, they're always like either winning their conference, getting close to winning their conference, getting in the tournament, or they're going to be one of the bigger higher seeds in the NIT. So good first test for Auburn. We're going to tip it off tonight, and then hopefully we'll go. If it's not both of us, one of us will be going live after the game, kind of breaking it down. We'll see what happens, but let's see if Auburn can pull this win out and get the ball rolling in the right direction, because you got a big one on Saturday against Houston in Houston. And you definitely want to go in there with a little bit of momentum. So, Zep, appreciate you jumping in, my man. Tell them how they can find you and support you and love on you.
You can find me on Instagram at RIP_QUAN12, Twitter at RIP_QUAN5.
Yes, sir. You can find me on Twitter, _Charlie_5. You know we're going to be here we're at least 2 times a week as the games roll on. We're going to be in here more. We really appreciate it. Check us out next time. This is just another episode of the Barn Hoops Podcast. It's lagging a little bit. We're good, man. I appreciate